Jack Styan. Jack is the Executive Director of Planned Lifetime Advocacy Network, or PLAN. Jack has served persons with disabilities and their families for over 20 years. He joined PLAN in 2003 and has been active in advocating for a registered disability savings plan. So please join me in welcoming Jack to the podium this morning.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a real honor to be here. In fact, there's nowhere else I'd rather be at the moment. Wore my best Vancouver clothes. The alternative was that my luggage would be here and I would be in Vancouver. We do think this is a historic moment in Canada. And we think as well that this is probably, when we look back at the history of people with disabilities in Canada, we think this is one of the most significant disability initiatives that's come along in a long while, probably since the International Year of the Disabled, 1981. And I agree with Minister Flaherty that we think that in 20 years from now we'll look back on this day and see it not only as a historic moment, but we'll recognize the foresight of the federal government. We've talked with thousands of families over the last 5 years. I want to share a few of the things that they've told us so you have a sense of what the RDSP means to them. First and foremost, for families, it means security for the future. Every parent who has a child with a disability has in the back of their mind a question, and that question is, what happens to our child when we're no longer here to take care of them? Families wrestle with that throughout their lives, but they don't wrestle with it just throughout their lives. In fact, they have to plan beyond their own lifetime. They have to plan for the lifetime of their child as well. With the RDSP, we think they have an easy-to-use tool to do the financial planning to do that. Also important is that families are no longer alone in this. We've heard about the generous federal government contributions, and we think they are generous. When we were advancing this, we had probably no inkling, in fact, that the federal government would be as generous as it has been in assisting families plan for the future. But if you look carefully at the way it's constructed, it also opens the door for grandparents and aunts and uncles and brothers and sisters to contribute as well. The other thing that the RDSP represents is hope for a good life, what we all want for our children. Times when we've presented the details of the plan, families have said, well, what are they going to do with all of that money? But the words are just out of their mouth when they realize what they've said, really. What they realize is they can start to unpack the dreams and aspirations that their sons and daughters have had and that have been packed away, sometimes for years. Dreams like having their own home, living with who they want to live with. Dreams like visiting a brother on the other side of the country or a sick grandmother. Dreams like going to the ballet or having season's tickets for the Canucks. Sure, there's a few kids around that would like season's tickets for the Leafs as well. When we speak with families, it's security and dignity, hope and passions that they speak of. It's good lives. Families are lined up to make contributions. We've heard that this morning already. People with disabilities are excited about saving for their future. One of the callers yesterday, in fact, the one who's making the claim to be the first, is a young woman, Laura McEnroth from Vancouver, who was up at 4 in the morning hoping to be the first person to open an RDSP. I had about 5 calls from her yesterday over the course of the day as she told me how it progressed. Sounds like it went very well, so thank you to BMO. Groups of of family and friends are also talking about how they can get together and help their loved ones and friends, pool their resources. Our phone's been ringing off the hook. Today, two of the questions, probably the top two questions that they've been asking us, have been answered. First, they've been saying, where can we sign up for one? So thanks to BMO, now they can. Second question was really, because up until yesterday they couldn't sign up for one, was am I able to make my 2008 contributions in 2009? So that's been answered today as well. It's always risky to stand up beside two ministers and disagree with them, but I have to do that. When we did the background work on the Registered Disability Savings Plan, and we think that in fact it's going to benefit far more than 280,000 individuals with disabilities and their families. We've put a number of about 500,000 on the people who will ultimately benefit. And it's on behalf of those 500 individuals and families that we would like to thank the Government of Canada for moving this initiative ahead. Minister Finley, thank you for your oversight, for moving the grant and bond along so quickly. I don't think we had any inkling of what the process would be like when we started talking about the idea. But we know that you and your staff have worked incredibly hard to make it a reality. Mr. Flaherty, we thank you for breathing life into the idea. It's taken a great deal of political leadership over the last couple of years to make this a reality for families. We'd like to thank you for that. We'd like to thank you for many other parts of it as well, for trusting families to make the right decisions with their money, for encouraging your provincial counterparts who have just about all come on board at this point to support it, make it work for families. Thank you both for the early Christmas gift of extending 08 contributions. And thank you both for your vision of Canada as a place where people with disabilities can live good lives and their families can have peace of mind. Thank you.